I'm Laura McDonald. I'm the Global Education Advisor at the Global Education Office, and I oversee the Study Abroad Advisory Board. And tonight we have some of our board members that are going to be talking about their study abroad experiences that they had while they were abroad. And I'll go ahead and have everyone introduce themselves. If you want to go around, I know Mika was going to start us off. She's the moderator for today. So I'll pass it forward to her. And thank you for everyone for being here and listening in.
Hello, my name is Mika Taylor. I'm a current sophomore. I'm majoring in Ames in Film and Media Studies. And while I have yet to study abroad with William and Mary, I've lived overseas for 16 years, and I'm very glad to be here and to help as I can as a moderator.
I'll jump in here. My name is Kaia Johnson. I'm a senior here majoring in government and psychology. I studied abroad last semester, spring 2020 in Valencia, Spain. And one of my favorite memories from abroad, I think would just have to be sitting on the balcony of my apartment with my host mom and her teaching me card games in Spanish and me trying to follow along. We had a lot of fun doing that.
I'll jump in. My name's Patrick. I'm a current senior. I'm an economics major with a finance minor. And I studied abroad through a third-party program in Sydney, Australia. And one of my favorite memories was just we had a farewell dinner on this cruise ship in the middle of Sydney Harbor, and it was just awesome. Yeah, that's something I'll never forget. So
I can go. My name is Demi. I'm a senior. I'm double majoring in sociology and environmental policy. I studied abroad twice. The first time I went, I did a summer program to Adelaide, Australia in 2018. And then I also did a semester in Dublin, Ireland through a third party this past spring. And I think one of my favorite memories of going abroad is just the opportunity to travel and explore the country I was in, and then also other countries as well.
Hello, my name is Eugen Lee, and I'm a junior. I'm majoring in marketing and minoring in data science. I studied abroad my freshman summer, and we went to Beijing, China. I was also supposed to study abroad at Yonsei University in South Korea over the spring semester last year, but I ended up dropping out due to the circumstances. But one of my favorite memories and experiences while in China was our professor, who was the coordinator for the program. She bought us all umbrellas because it was really hot back then, and it was very fun learning and going different places with her.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlyn Maria. I'm a current sophomore here at the college, and I'm planning on majoring in neuroscience. And so what I did for study abroad is I went on a winter program through the school to Beijing, China, just like Eugen, but shorter. And so one of my most prominent memories was that we just kept getting so much food, and they had this really cool way of eating. It was family style. But we never knew what we were eating. I ended up eating a lotus flower after I didn't know what it was. And so that was a really interesting thing that I've never thought I would do. But it was something that, I can't put a price on.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. And I would like to start, I guess, by having Eugen talk about her experiences with scholarships.
With scholarships, it was relatively easy for me to apply, especially to the William & Mary scholarships that they provide. It's all on the Study Abroad portal where you sign up for the program themselves. And there's honestly a lot of scholarships that I never really thought that William Mary had, and they're very specific as well. If you're studying a certain major, or you're studying a certain major and a language, et cetera, there's a bunch of scholarships that will fund your study abroad program. And the scholarships I ended up applying to was the Reeve's summer scholarship for Beijing, which ended up kind of paying for the entire program except outside of the airfare costs. And then for my canceled spring semester, I also applied to the Korea scholarship. That's just what it's called. Yeah, just Korea scholarship. And I think it's a really good opportunity if you're applying to any schools in Korea, because while there is a preference to William and Mary exchange program, so the Yonsei University exchange program, I believe that the Reeve Center, the study abroad, accepts I think around 2 students per semester to go abroad. So they're very, I guess, generous with the amount that they provide to you. So I very much recommend just looking up anything, and if you have any additional questions, going to the Reeve's building and asking for, I guess, any advice or any scholarship opportunities you might think that you're missing out on. But another great opportunity that I found out that starts this semester is that, because I went to the Reeve Center quite often to talk about my study abroad plans, and I was referred to, I believe it's called the Benjamin A. Gilman Foundation Scholarship, and that too is also a very generous scholarship provided by the U.S. government, the State Department, something like that. So the application, I don't believe it's too difficult. There are essays and no recommendations though, so that's a pro if you want to think about it like that. But I found out that now, if you apply to the Gilman Scholarship and you don't receive it, the Reeve Center will reimburse, or they will pay for your program instead. And I hope to apply for it soon, because I applied to the Gilman Scholarship twice and never ended up getting it. But I highly recommend applying to scholarships here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eugen. So next we're going to have Caitlyn, who's going to talk about the language barrier and sort of her personal experiences.
So I went to China not knowing any Mandarin at all. I knew ni hao, and that was pretty much it. So I was only there for 2 weeks. I didn't have too much of a problem. And we were in a group for most of it, and we had like a translator, one of the students there. She was like learning English, and she was trying to be an English teacher here in the States. And she was kind of our way of talking to some of the local people for like restaurants and like shops and things like that. But there were a few times where they kind of let us on our own. And I will say that you definitely have to, it's difficult sometimes when you're talking to somebody. There's a lot of like hand movements and hand gestures. Google Translate was my best friend. I'd type something in and I'd just show them. And so I know for some people like Kaia, she's been studying Spanish, so she like knows a little bit. But like for those of you who are just kind of going for, like why not, and to fulfill your 300, it can be a little daunting. But I think you just have to like go with the, roll with the punches, use the Google Translate app, do your best. But yeah, it can be a little jarring sometimes. But it gives you a new perspective on like how people feel here in the US when they come and they don't know any English, and you definitely feel their pain a little bit. But it's definitely an interesting experience, and you just got to do it once. It's definitely something that everyone should experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caitlyn. All right. So next we have Kaia, who's going to be talking about her homestay experience.
Yeah, so homestays are a part of a lot of different programs. Third party and William and Mary programs offer homestays. And that was something that was very important to me. I wanted to really be able to immerse myself in the culture and really get outside of my comfort zone. I was definitely nervous going into it because I didn't know who my roommate was going to be. I didn't know, anything about the family. Luckily, I did a third-party program in Valencia, and they really assured us that all of the host parents, host families had been through a pretty rigorous vetting process. A lot of them had actually been hosting students for like 10 plus years. My host mom had hosted dozens and dozens of students before, so they're used to it. They know what they're doing. My program managers also told us that if there were any issues, we could just contact the program manager, and they, depending on the issue, could kind of give a soft, like gentle reminder to the host family if it was an issue about like not doing laundry or cleaning or like offering, enough food. So there were, easy ways to remedy even like the smallest of problems. And then obviously if there was kind of like a bigger problem, they could move you to another family very easily. But everyone on my program had fantastic experiences with their family. I think my homestay was probably the most rewarding part of my study abroad experience, and really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. I went in knowing what I thought was a decent amount of Spanish into your eyes when you are only using Spanish to communicate. My host mom didn't speak any English, so that Spanish was our sole, method of communication. And I think that immersion is really key if learning a language is an important part of what you want. And yeah, I just have such fond memories from like sitting in the kitchen, watching TV with my host mom. She let me help her cook a lot. She really made sure that like we felt a part of the family. We even had responsibilities. She'd ask like, hey, I need you to go down to the grocery store downstairs, and like we lived in an apartment, and pick up some stuff for your lunch tomorrow, or this and that. So I would highly recommend doing a homestay if that's an option in the program you're looking at. I know it can be kind of daunting, and you might worry about like, not really being able to interact with like students all the time, or feeling kind of removed. I would say it's the best thing you can do to really experience a culture. So overall, very positive experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So next we have Demi, who's going to be talking about her experience with the summer program.
Like I said in the introduction, I did a summer study abroad to Adelaide, Australia in 2018. So it was right after my freshman year. I think kind of a major reason I wanted to go after my freshman year is because I wasn't sure exactly what to do that summer. And looking back, like it was so much more than just something to do. Like it is probably like one of the most impactful experiences I've ever had, and definitely a highlight of my time at William & Mary and my William & Mary experience. So it ranges just depending on the summer program you do, but mine ended up being about 5 weeks long. And we took 2 classes there. We all took the same classes. That can also vary depending on the program, but there were 19 of us, and we took the same two classes together. One was taught by a William and Mary faculty member because it was a William and Mary faculty-led program. And then the other class we took was taught by the University of Adelaide professors. And the way they structured that course was they had a new professor come in every week and talk about their expertise in environmental sustainability, which was the topic for the course. And so the class was like very structured. We had like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. And then over the weekend, we had like planned trips or like things to do. So we went to Kangaroo Island one weekend, which is off the South Australian coast. We had a free weekend, so a few of my friends and I took a trip to Sydney, which was very fun. We went to the Outback, and so there were like a lot of different structured things for us to do. And I think that's something common in the summer programs. They tend to be much more structured and planned. And you do definitely have opportunities to do things on your own. It's just a little different than a traditional semester abroad where there may be fewer things that are planned for you. Because I went through William and Mary, we were all William and Mary students. I believe it could also vary. You might have like a few non-William and Mary students, but I think for the most part, you go all together. And that like allowed me to meet some of my closest friends that I'm still in contact with today. I didn't know anyone else on the program when I went, so it was like a great opportunity for me to branch out and meet new people. And we like all got to experience the new culture of going to Australia together. And we lived, this would also vary, but we lived in off-campus apartments. So like I shared a room with one other person, and that would like also vary. But the opportunities to like just see the country overall, I think was my favorite part, just because I'd never been to Australia before. And part of the reason Australia appealed to me was because I knew it was so far away and I wasn't sure when I would get to go back. And so I think the program did a really good job of making the most of our time there. So we got to know the area we were staying in, and then they also like gave us the opportunity to like go on these planned weekend trips, and then like give us like a free weekend to either explore the city even more or go elsewhere in the country. But overall, like I really enjoyed the structure of the program. I loved getting to know the other students, and like I said, I'm still like in contact with a lot of them today. And it was overall just like a really great push out of my comfort zone. I know like at the time as a freshman, I was a little intimidated by doing a full semester kind of on my own. And so I feel like this is a really good in between where you're not like so by yourself. You know, you have other William and Mary students and a William and Mary faculty with you the whole time. And if you have any questions or problems, they're always right there. My professor gave us his phone number in case there was an emergency. So that was really great. And so, yeah, I just like really enjoyed kind of that like middle ground. I think another important part of summer programs is that you don't miss any time at William and Mary. I know that's a big concern with people who want to study abroad, but they don't want to miss out on the semesters that we do have here. And I think summer programs are a great compromise for people who are interested in studying abroad, getting that cultural immersion, but also they have the opportunity to stay on campus all 4 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Demi. All right, next up to speak, we have Patrick, who's going to be talking about third-party experiences.
Yeah, so just like Demi, I also went to Australia, and I'd kind of known that if I wanted to study abroad, it would be in Sydney. But obviously, William and Mary doesn't have a program there. That's where I think third-party programs come in really big. And with a third-party program, you can pretty much study wherever you want. There are programs everywhere, and you just have so many options that you can pretty much go wherever you want. And I found that my third-party program in particular was really helpful because we had a full support staff in country that was made up of locals. So it made adjusting to living abroad so much easier. And they covered pretty much everything, like pretty much every small detail you could think of. They helped us out with. So for example, like we didn't have meal plans when we were studying at the university. So they recommended all these local grocery stores and markets and stuff like that. So they were extremely helpful. And they also organized a lot of events for us where we can meet other people in our program and then also meet students at the university, which was really helpful. They recommended a lot of like programs that we could do outside on the weekends. So they recommended a like surf camp where we got to meet like 15 or 20 local Australians, which was something I really wanted to do. And then they also like organized events with the university. So we would do like collaboration events with other third-party programs and stuff like that. So not only were we meeting like Australians, but we were also meeting like people from like France and Germany. So I thought that was really cool. And that kind of leads into meeting people while you're abroad. I found with my experience that it was pretty easy to get involved while I was there. They have a lot of like the similar programs that we do. So they have an activities fair at the beginning of the semester where pretty much every club on campus has a table. And they have such a wide range of clubs that you pretty much any interest you have, they have a club for. So it was very easy for us to get involved. Yeah, and when I was there, in particular, we joined the club basketball team and did some intramurals. It was pretty much all locals, which was really cool. And then they had a lot of other like small things, like they had like a ski club that did organized ski trip every single year. And then they had pretty much everything. So, and then once you join the clubs similar to the clubs here have mixers, which are always a great opportunity to meet local people. Yeah, any chance you get to get involved over there is awesome because meeting the local people I felt like made my time there so much more worth it. You really get to form those connections and experience the culture that much more. So, yeah.
Thank you to all the SASAB members who shared their experiences and their stories. So next up, I have Miss Sylvia Mittendorfer, who's going to speak about some certain things about studying abroad.
Great. Thank you all so much for organizing this and sharing your stories. It's always so inspirational to hear about the experiences you had and the various elements of study abroad that really impacted you. So thanks for taking the time today. I was asked to speak a little bit about study abroad in the world that we're in, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Life here in Williamsburg has changed fundamentally, and of course, as it has all around the world. So we know that lots of students are having questions about how COVID-19 and the pandemic will continue to affect study abroad. I think this pandemic has underscored just how interconnected we are as a world. And through that, your experiences, I imagine, have given you new perspectives on how we have handled the pandemic around the world and again, connecting those experiences across countries. So we are fundamentally committed to continuing to support study abroad. We think that what we're hearing from students and parents is that there's tremendous interest and recognition that the global is so important in this world today. So we continue to monitor developments. So just like many other universities, we're really focused right now on looking at spring 2021 and what that might look like. We are planning full steam ahead for summer 2021 as well. And those applications are open as well. And of course, next semester, and actually by December 1st are the first applications due for 2021-2022. And so although we are virtual as an office, we're really excited to engage with students. And we're so appreciative of SASAB as well to even in this world, just to continue to plan for that time when travel will become easier again and when opportunities will open up in greater ways. You know, fundamentally what study abroad is about doesn't change through this. Our hopes for you when you study abroad are to explore learning in new environments, to experience your field of study from different perspectives, and have opportunities for growth inside and outside the classroom. So these experiences are fundamentally academic, but they're also rooted in experiential learning, making connections. I'm so excited to hear that several of you have said that you continue to remain in touch with people, or that you had opportunities both to deepen your living learning community at William and Mary, and then with your connections around the world. And I hope that those connections will stay with you for your lifetime, both professionally as well as personally. And then we also know from research and from engaging with alumni and others that study abroad is an important part of many students' career opportunities, and that many of the skills that you built while you were on study abroad will also, serve you very well in the world beyond William and Mary. I know some of our panelists are seniors already, but for those who might be listening to that, the career connection is certainly an important element for us as well. So I know we're happy to take any questions, and really just excited to get to work with all of you in SASAB, as well as any students interested in studying abroad in the future.
Thank you so much, and that definitely opens the floor to our Q&A portion. So if you guys have any questions, please message them in the chat so we can answer any and all questions that you have.
If you don't mind, I'll just say a couple of words. So I'm Steve Hanson, Vice Provost for International Affairs and Director of the Reeve Center, and really happy that I came to join you all today for this, as Sylvia was saying, very inspirational account. It reminds us of why we do the work we do at the Reeve Center to support these incredible programs. And I too was totally transformed by study abroad. I got into this business because I went to what was then the Soviet Union and is now Russia back in 1986. So my experience was very much those of you who had the language immersion questions. You know, I'd studied Russian for 4 years. I really thought I was good. And then I got to the country. And, you know, people don't slow down in normal speech. They actually just speak. So you pick up all sorts of issues, as was being discussed, of what it's like to be immersed in a different culture where things don't slow down for you, right? Where things are really genuinely new. And it transforms you. It makes you so much more empathetic and able to navigate different situations that you encounter in your career, as Sylvia was saying, in your life. And so obviously we're very passionate about it. We will definitely take this recording and share it with our board. Our board will be meeting tomorrow and Friday, and that board does help support study abroad scholarships, among other things. So thank you so much again. I think that this conversation will help inspire those of our board members and others who may not see the direct connection all the time, particularly in the pandemic. And I have only one question which anyone could answer, which is, what do you think we should be doing to get the word out more? Because I do feel like, you know, with the pandemic and the post-pandemic, because it will end, we're going to have maybe a bit of a catch-up job to do. You know, we had huge momentum, nearly 60% of William and Mary undergrads studying abroad before graduation. And now we're going to have a few people maybe who lost track with that, you know, because it was not possible to travel. So do you have any suggestions about, you know, your own experiences and how we would augment them and get the word out to other students?
I think a possible method to kind of attract older students would be opening up study abroad programs for seniors, especially at their last semester, because I know a lot of older students are not as motivated to study abroad because there are limitations with either transfer credits or scholarships because it's their last semester. And I think possibly allowing them the opportunity to study abroad with possible aid could help.
Definitely think in terms of getting the word out, usually the best way to do it is through word to mouth, or, people who work in res life and things like that, and people who work in different locations that have access, especially to underclassmen, because I know they typically don't pay attention to a lot of the students happening emails once they come into the school year. So definitely people who are in positions where they can contact them, albeit student staff or professors or things like that. Definitely feel like that's one of the most successful ways to reach out to them.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything that we didn't cover or you didn't get a chance to share that you want to share, you think other students need to hear about or want to hear about?
I guess if I could say something really quickly, I know I haven't had any specific experience with study abroad here through William and Mary, but I will say, as someone who's been lucky enough to live overseas for so long, being able to experience other cultures is something that truly opens your mind and, helps you grow as a person. It helps you mature. It helps you see a lot of things that you never probably would have even considered before, whether it be Europe, Asia, South America, Africa, all these different continents. Every different country has something special to share. I mean, every city alone has its own culture and backstory and history. So definitely, since we're given a lot of opportunities to be able to study abroad through the Reeve Center, I definitely encourage all students who are able to attempt to study abroad, because I know that the staff is very helpful and there's a lot of opportunities for everyone.
Kind of adding on to that, I just wanted to say, for people who have hesitations about studying abroad, whether it be because credits are an issue, as Caitlyn and others, like summer programs are a great option for people. But then for some people, their hesitation just comes from fear of missing out on a whole semester at William and Mary. I mean, people are very, very involved on this campus and care a lot about their involvement as well as their academics here, and it can seem kind of daunting to leave for an entire semester. It feels like a very long time before you go. And speaking from my own experience, I didn't get the entire semester in Spain due to COVID, but time really does fly when you're having fun and learning as much as you do while you're abroad. And I definitely had the realization while I was there that I wasn't missing out on nearly as much as I thought I was. In fact, I was experiencing way more than I ever could have had I decided to stick back home at William and Mary. So I'd just like to point that out for people who do have hesitations about abroad.
Yeah,
go ahead, Demi.
Okay. I definitely had the same experience as Kaia, like with my semester in Ireland. Every time I found myself like missing my friends at William and Mary, or thinking that I was like missing out on campus, I'd be like, okay, I could spend another weekend in Williamsburg with my friends, like, which is fun and great, but I would be missing out on like exploring like the little corners of Ireland, or like going to Germany, like, which is where my family is from. So it's like really cool for me to be able to see like where they came from through like Ellis Island in the 1920s. And so I was thinking, like, if I had stayed in Williamsburg, like I never would have been able to have these like other once in a lifetime opportunities. Like, and especially like traveling in Europe is very cheap and very easy to get to all the different countries, just because it's very compact. My flight from Ireland to Germany was 20 euros round trip. So it was just an amazing opportunity to travel. And I like never would have done that if I had stayed in Williamsburg for the semester.
Yeah, so sorry about that, Demi. But just to jump in again, so I did the winter program, and I was a freshman and I was super scared. But so one of the really big pushes for me was because I didn't know what to do with my time during winter break. And now with the extended breaks, I think we have 2 months off this year. I was really pushing for the Geneva and the New Zealand fortunately got canceled. But it's a really great way to just add more to your William and Mary experience, because it is still William and Mary faculty led. You're still learning and like talking to William and Mary students, just in a different place. And you can still get the culture feel. You can still get culture shock from 2 weeks. And so I just think that doing the winter ones or the summer ones, like Demi said, they take up some more time, and they really push William Mary to like the boundaries and like what you can get out of it. And I think it's definitely um, a huge thing that you should do while you're here for 4 years, because why not? More is better.
And if I can just jump in, the winter term is pretty new. I mean, it's really winter break, but that winter break is longer. This year is obviously extraordinary in the fall, but even under normal circumstances, this winter break would have been the longest that it has been, and that's going to be the case for years to come. And so we're already pretty excited. We have a number of programs already lined up for winter 2022, and more will be coming, recognizing that that is a time that doesn't interfere with a lot of other plans, and where there is that window. And that's something that was done intentionally to create opportunities for space for more opportunities like this.
Would it be all right if I could ask what programs are planned right now? Or is it a surprise? If not, I totally understand.
We're working on a number of them, but as of now, we have a program in La Plata, Argentina, looking at human rights that is in a modified way without the language requirement, similar to our semester program. And so we're excited to offer that. We also have a new program in New Zealand planned that was delayed from winter 2021 because New Zealand has very strict entry requirements right now to winter 2022. And we had hoped to have a Rwanda program offered this winter. It is being offered this summer instead, but the hope is again to be able to offer that. And then there are about 2 or 3, maybe even 4 other ones that are floating around that we're pretty far along in the process. So do expect a really robust offering in winter 2022.
Great. Well, do you want to add anything, Sylvia?
I was curious, and I know, I don't want to crowd out any other questions, but how, now that you're back from your experiences, some of you more recently, some further away, how do you see, has study abroad affected in any way your day-to-day life, or are there things that you took from your experience abroad that have impacted you back here on campus or back at home?
I think one thing for me was just like I kind of realized once I got here like how dependent I was on myself when I was abroad. I found that I was doing like a lot of like small things that you don't even really think of, like grocery shopping and like just like consistently trying to have to like plan meals out. I found that once I got back down here, it was so much easier. So just like a lot of things like that.
Yeah, I got pretty good at planning trips out. I had never really had to do much of that before, and then all of a sudden I had to, figure out all the logistics, the plane tickets, the accommodations, what we were eating. Budgeting was, super important as well. Trying to get all my travels in under budget. So that was super helpful. And definitely a skill I'll take into the future. I think too, just more generally speaking, studying abroad just gave me some perspective on things, on the world, on my own life. I think that William and Mary is an incredible community and place to learn and grow, but it can sometimes feel a little bit like a bubble. And so getting out of Williamsburg for a semester and going to Spain really just opened up my perspective and just simply put, like, little things don't bother me as much anymore, you know? Yeah.
I think like the summer program I did had like a major impact on like my own personal growth. I know as a freshman, I was really shy, really scared of pretty much everything having to do with college. And so just getting away from Williamsburg, like for the summer and, you know, traveling to the opposite side of the world with people I didn't really know that well was really the push out of my comfort zone that I needed. Um, and I'm really glad I did decide to do it, especially at that time, because I feel like it has allowed me to be more brave and more confident, and I'm much more open to trying new things. And I don't know, sometimes I imagine like how the rest of my college experience would have played out if I didn't, and I'm just like so glad that I did, because it really was the push out of my comfort zone I needed.
I'll just say, if you can keep these lessons throughout your life, you'll be in good shape. It's hard to remember that the little things aren't that important. Yeah, there's a kind of reservoir from these experiences that's still in you later. You know, you remember the kinds of cultural divides you overcame and the autonomy that you gained. And it provides a foundation for decision-making later. We know that actually from statistics. There's a lot of really good studies done on study abroad experiences and how the people who undergo them become more resilient, more autonomous, more tolerant. And so it's wonderful to hear this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here and hearing your stories. I think we all have smiles on our faces because we can all relate to them so much. And this really brought a lot of joy during a challenging time. So thank you for your uplifting stories. And we're all so excited to get back out there and travel and have those cross-cultural experiences. So thank you all.